and welcome back to Beer Fueled Fantasy Football. It is time to start kicking through the wide receivers. Our first of 3 episodes. We're going to get through our first 3 tiers of receivers. As always, we are at Beer Fueled FF on Twitter, Beer Fueled Fantasy Football on YouTube if you decide you want to watch us on video and whatever Hopper is doing with his tongue right now. Individually, I am at Nick Sparts. Hopper playing with the candy in his mouth is to my left.
I'll not be with DPs.
And across
Oh, Jesus.
How are we doing, guys? It's going to be a fun episode.
and across the table from me, we have Dan Thury.
I'm slightly disturbed, but I feel great at the BFF.
Good mood to be in when we're recording
Yes.
recording on this episode.
It's one of those,
here.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
It was so reversed. Doing running back threes on Monday instead of the
Fun
serious episode because it's way better to talk about shit tier players whenever you're mildly buzzed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
We'll
mean,
see
it
what
was
happens
only a
with this one.
4.5% beer on Monday anyway. It was a good beer, but it was not one where it was going to fuck us up anyway.
No.
We needed a 12% Scotch ale before that episode.
Now, this is going to be my favorite episode of
This is going to be a lot of fun.
This is going to be
We got a great
blast.
one for you today. But first, we will be doing a draft live stream on YouTube.
Yep.
So round 1 of the NFL draft, I believe, is the Thursday night. We'll be giving live reaction, playing some drinking games. If you want to get involved, hop on YouTube to the live stream. Check us out. Subscribe, Beerfield Fantasy Football. Come talk to us. Hang out with us. If you're part of another podcast and you would like to interject some takes on something, we can probably make that happen. So, but be sure to check that out.
Yep,
Yeah.
that'll be Thursday, April 26th, live with the first round of the draft. As we said on the Monday episode, we cannot simulcast, so you have to handle that with your own technology setups at home.
But our takes will be better and probably more accurate than network takes. So at
I
least there's
suggest
that.
you mute anything that you watch the draft on.
And just listen to us. Sync it
because
up.
So-
we're gonna get drunker and drunker as the draft goes on, which means our takes are gonna get
Better and better.
better and better.
As one of our listeners said when he asked if we were doing a live stream this year, and I said yes, I said I don't expect our takes to be accurate. He says, hey, you guys are campfire as opposed to Kuiper, who's a live dumpster fire.
I applaud you.
Shout out to whoever said
Yeah,
that.
I applaud you.
Good
Who is
for
this?
That was Drew.
Thanks,
okay.
Drew.
Thanks, Drew.
Fucking
All right.
Seattle people.
Shall we hit a beer preview?
Let's do it.
Beer Fuel.
And we've got Rupture, which is an ale by Odell Brewing Company. Second time for Odell coming on the show. They're based out of Fort Collins, Colorado. And then Rupture, based on the description on the back, apparently is a specially ground ale. Clocks in at 6% overall. And we'll give you a full review once we're through the tier 2 of wide receivers.
Okay.
Draft Preview.
All right, so this is a bit of an interesting breakdown. On top of what Hopper's doing is also very interesting. So we got 2 guys who clock in at tier 1, and then we got 5 in tier 2 and tier 3. So this is going to be a 12-guy episode, so try not to take too long getting into
This
arguments
is a
about people.
12-guide episode. All right.
Up first, tier 1. Our top-ranked player in this draft class is Cortland Sutton, wide receiver out of SMU. By 0.1, takes the number 1 overall spot at a 7.9 overall, which means we have him ranked as very good, not quite elite. So we don't have any elite prospects in this wide receiver class.
Yeah, nobody in this wide receiver class is elite. Sutton's up there because when it's guys that could potentially end up as a number 1 on a team and give you consistent fantasy production, him and really the next guy we're going to talk about are the 2 most likely to do that. 3-cone is one of the best for a wide receiver his size. His combine comp, based on those numbers, was Allen Robinson. His on-field play is a little bit more Des Bryant, relies a lot on athletic ability, and definitely has that diva mentality.
I saw a little bit more Demaryius Thomas with his after-the-catch type maneuvers.
After the catch, yeah. So maybe a hybrid there a little bit because he relies on physical ability to get his separation, though. He can shed defenders like a running back, though. Speed and agility are a rarity for his size. So there's not a whole lot there I didn't like about him. He does take some OPI penalties and does some needless shoving and stuff that'll drive a coach crazy, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But as far as possible consistent production, he's the guy.
He's got one of the biggest upside to him. I mean, he was recruited out of high school as a safety, and freshman practice comes and the coach is like, "What the fuck are you doing? You're gonna play receiver because
You're 6'3",
You're good.
220.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And he had good hands. So there's going to be some of those learning moments through him, but he forced, I think, 26 missed tackles in 2017. He can get it done with Yak. He can get it done in that 50-50 game. He ran a lot of, decent routes in college too, so he's got a good route tree already to him.
Mm-hmm. He was a little bit more refined in that area than Dez is. I think it was more the diva mentality, which
That's
Dez is
mainly,
kind of the
yeah.
last one that's left with that. One of the last ones that's left with that mindset.
I mean, Odell.
Odell, yeah. To a lesser degree, I think. Odell's less whiny.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, I love his frame. 6'3", 218 pounds. Gave a solid combine. Looks great on tape. I didn't see any major weaknesses in his game, which I think is the best part.
I didn't either.
Relatively early breakout age. Good, decent but not amazing dominator rating in college. So
That's more because of Trey Quinn.
And
Like,
there's another good receiver on the team.
It's just the offense.
So overall, I mean, he's been a hyped prospect for a long time. People thought he was going to be the number one receiver coming in this class. Some people have changed their minds, but after looking through all of the biggest players' tape, at this point, we think he still is.
Yep.
On to the guy who's more been jumping up people's rankings, especially after he absolutely crushed the combine. The second guy in this tier is DJ Moore, wide receiver out of Maryland. Comes in just 1.1 behind at 7.8 overall. Dominator rating, breakout age, combine, just crushed all of them, which all three of those put together generally means you're going to be a successful
He
receiver
broke
in the NFL.
playerprofiler.com. Like, if you guys don't listen to the Fantasy Sports Show with Matt Kelly, shout out to those guys. He is absolutely obsessed with DJ Moore, and it's pretty much because he broke player profile.
I'll let you guys hype, and then I'm going to temper a little bit just because I like taking that role, and that doesn't mean I don't like him. That just means that I have some things.
Yeah.
You've got him closer to the other tier than we do, basically.
I do. So you guys go ahead, and then I'll jump in.
I mean, for me, I didn't see any major weaknesses in his game. Hands were a little bit of a question, but they were still good. Ran some great routes, especially the intermediate routes. He was very versatile, ran out of the backfield, slot, and outside. Didn't see anything about him outside of maybe his height that would temper me from thinking he could be a great receiver in the
I
NFL.
don't agree with people that say that he should just play out of the slot because he can win on the field. He
I
high
don't agree with
points
that
the
either.
ball very well. Where his weaknesses, I think, truly come from, I'm gonna just dip my foot in the water a little bit, is his route running. He's very inconsistent with his aggressiveness, but he's also 21 years old. He's one of the youngest receivers in this draft class. So with his upside already there and showing, you're going to see some of those weaknesses be put on film. And plus, he was plagued by bad QB play. The fact that he can win, he's, at 6 foot, he can win at the high point, fairly consistently is a good sign.
So with DJ Moore, first off, I want to reference something that Matt Harmon does called reception perception. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't checked this out, definitely do it. Follow him on Twitter. I think the FF Ballers actually included this in their draft kit also. But you look at DJ Moore's reception perception, and most of his routes and his success by routes were on layup throws to the quarterback. It wasn't on deep or inside breaking stuff. It was on stuff where he was working back to the quarterback. You can see the breakdown of that. I retweeted it on my Twitter at HotBFF, but most of it was creating layup throws, and that could be a limitation of the offense, but also, like Dan said, a slight limitation of his route running. His athletic comps, at least as far as combine numbers go, were Trey McBride and Sammy Coates. So that is, again, combine numbers, not something I put a whole lot of stock into. Little bit of cause for concern there, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Well, I mean,
doesn't mean I don't like him.
Both those guys were incredibly unrefined, low dominator numbers who just were athletic freaks.
Yeah, and again, it's only part of the story, so you're absolutely right by that. He's great at underneath the route zone, created separation, and on tape, he does look a lot like a slot receiver. That being said, he does profile as good enough to play outside. That was more of a limitation of the offense, a limitation of the quarterback play. He had to give them layup throws.
Yeah. They had, I think, a linebacker at quarterback at some point this year. It was just awful.
It's do whatever we can to put the ball into DJ Moore's hands, and that's what they did. For the most part.
Hence why he had, a 50% dominator rating.
53.3%, which is fucking insane.
He was really good, I noticed, after the catch on a lot of the screen routes and whatever. It's shedding people and taking off from that. I would like to see he can high point the ball. I'd like to see a little bit better positioning on some 50-50 balls, though. And it did look like he struggled a little bit with physical cornerback play. Like he could get beat up at the line a bit. So a little bit more pause for concern there than Cortland Sutton. And, I think the ceiling might not quite be as high, but ultimately he's still going to be a very, very solid, very, very productive receiver in this league.
Yeah, I would be shocked if he isn't at least a wide receiver too within a few years.
And his hype is reaching like NFL team. You're starting to see him, being mocked with the smart people, with your Mel Kipers and your Mike Madoff, guys like that are starting to see that he's going to probably be high second, early first round.
Never mind the fact it's something that a lot of us, a lot of the guys we affiliate with, have been on for months now.
Yeah, exactly.
So good job catching up, ESPN.
All right, so that's it for the Tier 1 guys. Those are the only two that we have ranked higher than 7.5. Both those guys we think are going to be the two likeliest prospects in this class to hit. They're the only two I'd be willing to take in probably, the first 8-ish picks in the draft?
Yeah, because the next guy I'm willing to take is going to be at the turn maybe.
Yeah,
well, not the turn,
first.
but back of the first, early second.
Yep.
All right, so moving on to Tier 2. First guy up is a smaller school guy, Michael Gallup out of Colorado State, coming in at 7.5 overall.
Have our hearts.
Decent athleticism.
Steal it.
Great route runner. Great body positioning. Runs out of all spots of the field. He's a good blocker.
He does all the technical things well.
I'm not sure he has a crazy high ceiling, but there was very little I can look at his tape and complain about.
So this is what I saw from him on tape. I'm going to give you guys. I don't do a lot of player comps unless I see it on tape. Now I'm going to get I'll get some flack for this because this is a name. This is probably my favorite receiver in the league right now and has been for a while, and that's DeAndre Hopkins. I see a lot of Hopkins in his game. A lot of that like intermediate route. Now his arm length isn't there. He's got 2 inches smaller arms, so he's not going to be able to win those crazy jump balls. But he's a smart route runner. He's got great positioning. You get to see it all on film. He does have his concentration drops at times, but what rookie doesn't? And he can just win over any. The guy's fucking productive.
Yeah, he's very productive, and you watched him against Alabama. They played Alabama this year, and if you turn on the tape against Alabama's corners, he was not at all overmatched. And that's the closest to NFL defense you can get in college, just playing Alabama. And he was not at all overmatched against them. His combine matches up actually as a slightly more athletic Robert Woods.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think he sings "Let's Get Physical" on his way to the field, though, because he just muscles through people.
Yeah.
And muscles off defenders. And he's good at tracking, high pointing the football. He's got great hands, not a lot of athletic ability, but he does every technical thing right. And you've seen guys, last year's example is Cooper Kupp, a guy that came into the league without a lot of athletic ability and was productive for fantasy football. Gallup has a higher ceiling.
Yeah, I agree. And this is per PFF. You face 64 targets against press coverage. That's a very underrated stat because you're going to see a lot of press coverage when you play outside, especially in NFL with these bigger physical corners. And he won a lot of the times on that.
That's one thing he does really well is he fights through press coverage and he gets off the line, then you can't beat him up. Mm-hmm. And he's not the type of player, though, that you play off of because he's such a good route runner that, if you play off of him, he's just going to find the soft spot, sit, and take it.
Yeah. Another big thing for him, 21 years old. He's one of the younger receivers coming out of this class, along with Moore and Kirk and Brown, who we're going to both get to those in just a little bit here. And so he's got a lot of room to grow. Unlike Kupp, who came out at 24 and was kind of needed to already hit the ground running, he has a little bit of time to grow before he has to kind of hit his stride.
Yeah, I would like to see him, if the Bears match Cam Meredith,
him on the Saints.
and if he can end up with the Saints, I would love that.
Yeah, that would be a great spot.
There's a few other teams, but
yeah, anywhere that needs a solid wide receiver too, that doesn't have to have him be the one immediately.
Doesn't have to be the one immediately, but doesn't have to sit behind somebody either because I think he's good enough to where he can be a guy that produces first year.
Yeah, there's nothing on his tape that makes me at all concerned about that. So if it sounds like we really like Gallup, we definitely do.
It's because
that's
we
why
do.
He's snuck. For us, I think he's snuck into the back end of the first round of rookie drafts now.
No, he's starting to climb up rookie drafts. He's starting to climb up the NFL mock drafts. I'm loving the fact that he'll go day 2.
Catch up, ESPN.
Yep.
Please.
We're waiting for you.
We're waiting on you, buddy.
Waiting on you.
On to a guy who profiles as almost an ideal slot receiver, and that is Christian Kirk out of Texas A&M.
Yep.
7.4 overall. His breakout age is incredibly young. Hands were fantastic. He showed good route running. His acceleration is amazing. Doesn't have super great top-end speed, So he's not going to be a take it to the house type receiver, but he was very productive in college. Looks like he's set up to do that in the NFL, which is looking for more and more slot receivers.
Yeah, so I couldn't find I got two kind of hopper level stats here. I couldn't find an exact combine comp for him. He came out as either a as a shorter Stephon Diggs or a heavier Randall Cobb, though, were the guys that had the closest metrics to him.
I like the Cobb comp.
I do too.
Cobb comp. The Diggs is because he plays outside more, but
Diggs
Kurt
can
is a
run out of
pure
the
slot
slot, though.
receiver. He finished fourth in slot receptions at 67.
Well,
this guy is very productive.
And that
that's gonna
comes
be his
with the
role.
height a bit too. Also,
Yeah.
with just him being shorter, but athletically, if he was about 2 inches taller, he could play
Yeah.
outside athletically. But another thing that I think bodes well for him is you look at his college production. He was at A&M, so he wasn't exactly playing not the highest level competition, not the lowest level.
I mean, he was SEC.
Yeah,
And he played with a bunch of freshmen. Like he
Mm-hmm.
pretty much had to like be the dad of that entire fucking office, and you saw it too.
so guys that have played in less than 40 games with over 230 career receptions and 2,800 receiving yards, Braylon Edwards,
I've heard that name in a long time.
Devon Bess, another name I haven't heard in a while.
So we're on more Browns.
But then it gets good. Robert Woods, Marquise Lee, Sammy Watkins, Michael Crabtree, Devontae Adams, and then Justin Blackman, who was supposed to be amazing and couldn't stay off the
No,
pot.
Blackman would have been a real good player if he could have kept himself
You need
together.
to say Silver
So-
in so many levels.
The productivity is there. The athletic comps are there. Everything on tape says that he is going to be a great slot receiver. He's athletic enough. Not going to be a red zone threat. Probably going to be better in PPR leagues.
Oh, much
For
better
sure.
in PPR leagues.
But he's athletic enough to pick up yardage. He's got good hands. He's a solid route runner, which is why he's coming in over guys like Calvin Ridley.
Yep.
Like and just like Kupp did last year with the Rams. Kurt does well in the red zone. I mean, like he's not huge, but he does have good, decent positioning that to maybe play off of that slot fade that you saw a lot with Texas A&M.
Well, Cup is 6'2", though, and I think people forget that.
Yeah.
He is 4 inches taller.
Yeah. The one thing Kirk does have going for him well, too, though, is he comes in at 200 pounds at 5'10", so he's a thick frame
He's
guy.
a really stout runner.
So he's going to be able to run through contact when you get into some of that wash when you get close to the red zone to try to get himself into an open position.
Yeah, he's really stout. You just don't think he's going to win jump balls.
No, that won't be his
No.
game.
I got my one negative. I like to see a little less body catching.
Yep.
Shout out to I think it's Deuce Winham and Matt Walden. I think brought this up on their videos on him, is that he tends to body catch a little bit more than he should, and this may lead him to to having some of those drops when he plays against tighter coverage.
I had that note on him also. That is something I noticed, that he does let the ball get in on him a little too much.
Yep. But that's it.
And that
he
can
also
be learned.
plays slot, which isn't a horrible thing, especially because he creates a lot of
No,
bursts
when you
with his
play,
hips.
yeah, you want to let the ball come to you a little bit more when you're playing tighter like that.
Yeah.
But he does chest catch it a lot more than...
And I mean, especially when you're more likely to get contact in the middle of the field, so getting it in tight is probably a good way to hold on to it.
But he does it all the time.
Yeah, he does do it all
There's
the time.
another guy we're going to talk about later that actually uses really good decision making when it comes to that, on snatching the ball versus when to cradle it and catch it close.
All right. Up next is Calvin Ridley. The slide has stopped. He comes in at our 5th overall receiver. 7.4 overall. He was just a notch behind Kirk on the average because I had to go down to the second digit to order this. So his route running, straight line speed are both excellent. Those are by far his best traits. He comes with an excellent recruiting profile, but he comes in at 24 years old. He's a little bit underweight for his frame, so he's probably going to have to be moved into the slot.
His combine numbers weren't great.
Outside of his straight line speed, yeah, not great
No.
combine numbers. And his contested catch skills were terrible.
You
And
want to... Sorry.
And his 9.3 career drop rate, which is bad.
No bueno.
No bueno.
No
That would have
bueno.
finished near last this year.
His combine comp was Lavernius Coles.
I've heard Jared Abadaris is another comp.
Jared Abadaris is another one, yeah. Great straight line speed, though. He's an okay route runner. He uses every trick in the book. I mean, he can head fake. He can footwork. College productivity wasn't there, but it's Bama. It's never there for wide
It's
receivers.
fucking Jalen Hurts.
He doesn't let corners get positioned on him off the line. I did notice that they can't really force him outside or inside because his release is really quick. But ultimately, I think that he profiles more as a slot guy than an outside guy.
His size and frame suggest. I still think he's one of the best route runners and the guys when it comes to creating separation, which will help
He is.
deter away from the frame talk. And the fact that a team's going to draft him first round, he's going to have a chance. And that's, I think, why he's this high is that because he's from Alabama, someone's going to give him a chance more than he probably should if he played somewhere else.
He does. He is a good route runner, and he is good at creating separation. I will give him that. It's just, when it comes to the frame and stuff, he's right on the fringe between for what you'd want on outside.
Yeah.
5'11", 6-foot range is about the low end you want to go for an outside receiver.
And you'd hope closer to 200 pounds, not 185.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's definitely some concerns and red flags about his game. The late breakout age paired with his current age are also not good. That breakout age and dominator rating are the two things that do correlate most with success at the next level. So that late breakout age is definitely a bit of a red flag for him. He should still be safe, though, just with his route running alone. But definitely, I don't see the ceiling there that other people are giving him.
Not anymore.
Yeah, guys
Not
that have
anymore.
the technical aspect down, like Ridley and Gallup, tend to outproduce, especially early on, guys that rely on just pure physical traits.
Yeah, like he may be a top producing rookie receiver this year, maybe the next,
what you
next 2 years. But you got guys like DJ Moore,
It's what you saw last year
Yeah.
with Cooper Kupp.
Yep.
Guy that was really, really good at the technicalities of playing a wide receiver, even though he wasn't an athletic freak, versus guys like, Corey Davis, who's ultimate athletic freak, but not quite as polished as far as some of the nuances go.
Yep.
He also was hurt, which doesn't help. But
Yeah, the hamstring did not help.
yeah.
All right, on to the Hall of Fame name of the draft.
No, I will not be saying this name.
Please do.
Don't fucking look at me.
Dan, would you like to introduce the next player?
Equanimous.
If Nick can't say his
Tristan
name-
Imhotep J. St. Brown.
There's no way I'm saying this.
I did not know the middle name was there.
Yeah.
Yep.
I knew Equanimous was a tongue twister, but
Yep.
Trista Imhotep?
Tristan Imhotep.
Tristan Imhotep. Okay.
J. There's just a
All
J.
right, known as ESB or EQ.
I like
That's all we're
I
gonna
like
say.
ESB because it's a type of beer.
Let's go with the
That
SB.
is good. I like ESB.
6'4", 214, 4.48 40. AJ Green was the closest combine number comp I could find.
That's my favorite.
Based on
comp
what they
this year.
have, he does have that. Great speed, agility, hands. Athletically, he checks all the boxes. He's an adequate route runner. He can play inside, outside, and return things. But college production wasn't necessarily there. Body positioning could be better. He's a guy that didn't necessarily have the college numbers to match it, but he's got the athletic profile to come out and be very, very good.
Yeah, like if he lands in a spot, I know we like to. I know what what the landing spot and shit like. I think for him could be huge because he didn't get it done on short volume like you saw with some of these other players. So if he can't get that volume, he may just kind of fake. That was my one knock. My one big knock is when I watch a lot of his film, sometimes he fades away, and that's been his one big knock for a lot of people is that he doesn't always put up 100% effort on every single play.
Yeah, you definitely saw a lack of effort in blocking and some of his routes. Apparently, there were some questions about his effort in the training room and things like that as well. He's very young. He's another 21-year-old, so he may still get his head in shape. But if you're looking for an upside swing, he's got it.
This is a
He's
good one.
huge.
And right now, when you hit this part of receivers, because this is a shallower than normal wide receiver class, you are now taking just swings at people that could be number one. Because when you get below this, you get into guys that don't just below this tier. You get into guys that just don't have that potential.
Yeah, they're at best going to be a wide receiver 3 type guys.
Right. So you want to hit on, if it's not one of the guys we were talking about before this that are almost certainly going to produce, this is your next bet at swing for the fences.
Like he may, take the DeAndre Hopkins route to success and that be drafted onto a team with an already established number one receiver and then
Kinda
be that
take
like
over.
deep threat role, take over after they either move on from him or he retires. And then you get to see his big nuance, like his big flashes more.
Come on, Arizona.
Yes.
Arizona's
Once
one, Indianapolis is one.
Yeah, pair him with Hilton would be great because he's a exact opposite type player of what Hilton is.
Maybe
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
Green's
to
not
play
quite
with
that
Green.
old.
I know, but like any spot that needs a true number 2.
Yeah, anybody that needs a 2, though. And Cincinnati hasn't had a 2 since.
Are we already running off John Ross?
I wrote off John Ross
I think-
before he was ever drafted.
Yeah.
Go back and listen. No, don't. Never mind. Don't go back and listen to last
And Josh
year's stuff.
Malone. and
You
Tosh-
cannot find those episodes on
Hollywood.
iTunes anymore.
Thank God.
iTunes keeps a backlog of 98 episodes, and we're about 120 now. So those episodes
See
aren't
ya.
there.
You guys are welcome.
So if you missed those episodes, sorry you can't find them.
They're still on the Libsyn page, I think.
Yeah, you can get them straight from the Libsyn website, but not iTunes.
Yep.
So yeah, ESB, definitely a major home run threat. Everything, if it wasn't for some of the effort issues, he'd probably be even higher than this.
And his horrid quarterback play. If you can just a little bit more production, I think you could see
Yeah.
him rise up a lot more. But
Yeah.
now it's can he do it? Can he not do it?
Yep.
2016 with Kaiser was much, much better.
And it still wasn't great.
It still wasn't. Yeah.
All right. Anthony Miller, this was probably the most fun of the not
love
obvious top tier guys
I love
that we
his
I
watched.
love him.
7.3 overall for us, so he's coming in right in the middle of this tier.
He's starting to catch hype.
He's a great route runner. He's fantastic in open space. Finally had his pro day. He was coming off of was it Liz Frank injury, I believe?
Yes.
Yeah. Liz Frank's a real bitch.
Yeah, it's a tough injury to come back from, and he came back and had a great pro day. If he wasn't already 24 years old and 5'11", he'd be even higher for me.
He comps to Sterling Shepard for me.
Yep.
But multiple 95 plus reception, 1,400 yard seasons, also 14 plus touchdowns in both of those. Only other guy to do that was Justin Blackman. God, what he could have been.
Yeah, there was a reason he was a top 10 pick. Blackman was really good.
Yeah.
Pick 4.
But he's quick and agile, good after catch balance, very reliable hands, good route runner. Skill wise, he's everything. He is just absolutely everything skill wise. But slightly short, doesn't have burner speed, and Memphis they gave him a ton of space to work. So there's that slight concern also, but I'm not too concerned about the offense and not translating to the NFL because everything else I saw shows that he's going to translate to the NFL.
And he had Riley fucking Ferguson throwing him the football.
It's
Yeah,
like-
there were some awful throws.
Yeah, it's like barely light Christian Kirk,
But he can actually play outside.
but he can
too.
actually play outside.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun to watch. I think Dan made the comparison to possibly Steve Smith.
Yep, because he shows a lot of aggression. I have yet to see a receiver in these 2 years that we've been watching tape as much as we have been play with the aggression like I've saw from Anthony Miller.
Yeah,
It's
he had a
insane.
my ball, I'm going to win.
I mean, and like you may say, well, maybe he didn't play a lot of competition. He played Mike Hughes twice this year, and Mike Hughes is one of the top-rated defensive backs coming into a
UCF.
first-round play.
Yeah,
he
he
had a
is.
bad first game against them, and then
the championship game.
yeah, he had 14 receptions, 195 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He can play against top.
Yeah, he
And-
absolutely went off.
And there was the game against UCLA where he had, 4 touchdowns?
Yeah, he
He just
He had a
destroyed 'em.
39.9 dominator rating. So, I mean, he was that offense.
Yeah, he's the reason Riley Ferguson was getting any hype whatsoever.
He was. I didn't realize it at first, but when my original thing on Ferguson was his stats are inflated. There's a receiver that they throw everything underneath to, and he takes it to the house. It was Anthony Miller.
Yeah.
He led the nation in college football with 288 screen yards. He also had 546 slot yards. He is versatility.
Yeah,
he is
he's-
our hashtag versatility.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun to watch, and he's starting to get some hype. Just started my 21st rookie mock draft. He's starting to
I've done 12
I've
or
not done that
I think I've done
much.
12 or 13.
Yeah, he's starting to creep up into the late second round, mostly because of me, and I could see him start going mid-second. So
I mean,
There are guys whose ADP with certain affiliates that we are completely driving up.
yes,
Royce Freeman was one of them for me, and I think Michael Gallup was too. I intentionally did not take them in a couple just to see how far they would fall if I didn't take them at.
I need to start doing that. And if I tie break, I'll tie break away from guys I always take.
That's how I was doing it because I want to see how far they fall if I don't take them too.
And he's getting hype in the actual NFL draft because now he's looking like a day 2 guy.
Yep.
Yeah,
Instead of the day 3 that you had pre his pro day.
I think he goes round 3, and I think
I think
he
he goes round
100%
I think he absolutely should.
deserves it. He looks awesome.
He's been visiting the Vikings.
All right, that is it for tier 2. There is no real gap here. I just want to do 10 guys in the same tier.
I didn't either.
Let's go to a beer review.
Beer review.
Does it go to 11?
No, I mean it could. I could turn it up more, but it was redlining in OBS, so try not to blow people's eardrums.
I appreciate that. So this is Rupture by Odell Brewing Company. It is a fresh grind ale, as they call it. My initial impression, it tastes like a New England style IPA and a pale ale had a baby.
Yeah, I don't get as much juiciness as I do from a New England, but it definitely tastes like a pale. I get the pale ale a lot. Could also be because I was sucking on a mint, so I've got a lot of sweetness in my mouth already anyway. But yeah, it's very, very drinkable, very, very solid. It's light-bodied. It's just the flavor of an ale is there. It doesn't hit you. I don't know how to explain it.
I mean, it's not as juicy as New England, but it has a little bit of that juiciness to it, paired with you almost feel like there should be hops, and it just never hits you.
See, I get some of the bitterness out of hops, but it's not citra hops.
It's definitely not citra hops.
It's not citrus hopped. It's more flowery hops.
Yeah.
That were used in this.
Dan, your thoughts?
It's got good body. It's got great taste. Your traditional theory takes on these beers because Nick and Hopper do a great job covering all the great.
Do you think we should let him
things.
lead off these sometime?
Probably
we
not.
probably should.
Probably
I
not.
think we should.
I think you can steer away from that because I don't have the terminology needed, and most times I'm already half drunk when I start drinking them anyways.
We're through about 120 episodes. You could work on learning this.
I probably should.
Maybe. You just kind of pick up on it after a while. At least
I mean,
I did.
I've gotten better with them when I show off my beer game.
All right, moving on.
All right, so we lost it there. Thank you so much for coming on, Odell. I don't believe I've had a beer from them I didn't love, so they do great work.
They do really good work. It's real solid.
All right, let's jump into Tier 3. These are guys who we still really liked, but either we have some more questions about their game where we're not sure how they're going to translate to the NFL, or there's maybe an additional red flag to push them down a little bit further down the list. Starting off, this guy is the quintessential, I'm not sure how he translates to the NFL, but I really like the tape, James Washington.
Yeah. So there's been one guy to back up that point with his athletic profile that has had NFL success, and it's Anquan Bolton.
Yep.
Yeah, he's not.
The other 8 or 9 were nothing. So that's a little bit of pause for concern. As far as his college productivity, pretty much matched Corey Davis and Taywan Taylor, who were super hyped coming out last year. They're on the same level. He's got a very, very good release off the line. It's quick. He's fast enough to stay by you once he beats you off the line. Solid route runner. Fights through defenders at the top of his routes, which is another thing I noticed that I liked. He can muscle them off. Doesn't drop a whole lot, but the athletic profile is just concerning to me.
Yeah, he's one of the best positioning players I've seen in this draft where he'll be like he's way too short to make that catch, and he'll find a way to body the corner out of the way and make the play on the ball.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. He fights through them.
He does it consistently. Solid hands, but he's 5'11", 213, so he's built like a running back.
He didn't run a lot of routes. I mean, he only ran vertical and a couple slants, and you don't know if he's going to be an over the middle receiver, and if he's just a vertical guy, is he really worth being drafted that high?
You love the tape, but you don't know how he fits. He's got a limited route tree, and his draft stock right now, just from what I've seen, is higher than I'd be willing to take him.
Yeah, I've seen him.
He's going ahead of guys we talked about in the last year, guys like Gallup and Miller and Kirk and guys like that, and I'm not doing that.
Yeah, he's a little high on draft stock for me. Also, just the height and the athletic profile. It's like I'm not quite sure how a team's going to come in and use you in the NFL and have you get enough targets to be successful.
He's a guy that after the guys we've already talked about are gone, that I'm going to take, which is why he's tiered here. Because the guys that we've talked about, either you've got a clear vision of this is how they can be successful, or pretty much feel really good about the fact that they will be successful. And, this is the first guy that you're like, okay, he did it, he produced at college, does it translate? Because, again, red flags.
He also did an offense that he faced a lot of one-on-one coverage. Like, he was the best receiver at the Senior Bowl practice week. He was great against press, which is one of his biggest question marks. Can he work against press coverage? Because he is smaller in terms of height. But he played...
He's so strong,
he played in a, in a spread air raid type of offense that he had another... NFL caliber receiver who ran the routes he couldn't really run.
Yeah, and it's Oklahoma State. The defenses that they have in the Big 12
Big 12
are
defense.
garbage.
Yeah, they are garbage.
So anytime you get this guy produced crazy good, he's a Big 12 receiver. he needs to
There's
produce.
a reason why.
He needs to produce
Yeah.
that well for me to even consider him relevant.
Yep.
So yeah, just there's just some questions about how he is going to translate to the NFL that I'm concerned with. Now, I'm going to be watching him real close to see where he goes. If he goes to an offense where I have a lot of respect for their offensive coordinator and how they use guys, I'm going to get a hell of a lot more interest in a hurry.
Yeah.
If he lands somewhere where he's like, I'm not even sure what position he's going to be playing in, I'm going to fade him.
The Jets.
Yeah.
Our number 16 receiver on our roster.
I'd fade him real hard on the Jets.
I'm just gonna put a text quote at the bottom of the screen that says "landing spot matters."
All right, on to
How did
Dante.
that not get any reaction?
Just because it's
Nick likes to ignore us once we've
he
used
does.
too many jokes.
you've also hammered that joke a lot.
Well, I'm
because we hammer that
hammering it
lots.
even harder now.
All right,
Yeah,
We're a pro phrase.
on to the next guy.
Dante Pettis, wide receiver out of Washington. I'd not heard a lot of hype about him up until his pro day happened. It was about a week ago, and then people started just freaking out a little
I
bit.
mean, I hyped him, but
We've
you
been
never
ta-
listened to me.
We've been talking about him for a while.
I absolutely listened to you. He was on my priority watch list because you'd hyped him specifically.
but you didn't watch him when
Say-
Hopper and I watched him. And that's where the hype happened for us, at least.
But I'm saying I'm more referring not to you two, just industry.
Come on,
in
Nick, catch
general.
up.
I was saying the industry hadn't hyped him until
I
the
know.
last couple of weeks,
I know.
or last week when he had his great pro day. He was coming off. He was a quad injury, I think.
Something like that.
So he didn't run at the Washington pro day. He had his similar to Ronald Jones. He had his own pro day, and he killed it. Ran a mid 4.4. Had just a. I think he also had a great vertical, if I remember right.
Did he?
36 vertical, solid, and then he ran the 6.873 cone, which is the big one. A little skinny, comes in at 6 foot, 186 pounds, but he's a fantastic returner in college. He was probably the best punt returner in the
He has
country.
the most
Yeah.
touchdowns in
NCAA history.
history. He had 9 punt returns for touchdowns.
So that just tells me one, he's going to get a job.
Yeah.
He will be on a team and he will get an opportunity. So that's a big thing for me is, hey, I see a way that immediately there's no way you are not sticking on an NFL roster. So that helps. On top of it, he's just a great hands catcher. He's a great route runner, shows amazing agility. I forgot. Not a great route runner, but his hands are great. He's a great sideline catcher. I saw so many toe taps for him. He looked like
Yeah.
Chris Carter out there.
Yeah, there are a lot of good things about him. Things that, again, not extremely polished, but he's great on the sideline. Physical coverage can kind of bother him. A little bit of a thin frame at 6 foot 186, but ultimately he's got all the athletic traits to get it done.
Yeah, the only question for him is going to be, can he polish some of the more technical aspects? It didn't seem like Washington really asked him to be a good route runner.
they changed the way that they used him. Like back when they had John Ross 2 years ago, it was a high flying offense. You saw it from Jake. Where was it? Brown?
Browning.
Yeah, Browning.
Browning.
I think he threw 48 touchdowns. I think Pettis caught like 14 of them. And then the entire offense changed to more of a run scheme, and then you got to see, some of those weaknesses start to show a little bit more when you didn't have a guy like John Ross taking coverage away from him.
Yeah, but he still would win.
Yeah.
Mainly with athleticism and hands. So if he can develop some more of that game, he will be a success in the NFL. It's just going to be a question of, can he get some of those more technical aspects down? Because from an athletic standpoint and from his ability to just make catches, he's there already.
Yep.
I figured you'd have more to say on him.
No, you covered all the hype. You covered all the hype train for me, is what that was, though. And ultimately, I watched him. I liked him a lot at first, and then I watched again, and I saw some of the size things or whatever, and the college productivity not necessarily being there. But he's a returner, so he'll be on a team. He's extremely athletic. He's extremely dynamic. So you covered everything I wanted to say to him. You did the hyping for me.
All right. And he's, for you guys, probably mid to late second round target for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not alone in liking him, though. I've noticed.
He's starting to bump up that list a little bit, too. Him and Miller are the two that I've seen really start to jump.
Yep.
Yep.
Up next, we got DJ Chark out of LSU. In terms of athletic ability, he's probably the biggest freak in this class. He ran the best 40 time. He shows a lot of ability on tape in terms of athletic profile. Production is super limited, though. How much of that is just the fact that it's LSU? Because I saw flashes on tape of him looking amazing.
Some of it is just the fact that it's LSU for Chark. I think a lot of it probably is. But his athletic profile, he matches up with Gabolahan, a.k.a. Devin Aromoshadu. If you don't know who that is, ask a Vikings or a Bears fan.
Unfortunately.
We both know who that is. He's a long strider, though, with speed to blow by cornerbacks, good sideline work, athletically profiles is a beast. LSU doesn't use their wide receivers, though, and part of the problem there is I think they might come into the league a little bit underdeveloped, despite how good they look as raw talent. We saw this with Malachi Dupree last year, a guy that we liked probably as much as we like Chark, who didn't necessarily get everything that you would like to see.
Yeah, thankfully he does come in young. He's 21, so he doesn't have that issue where he's coming in older like some of the other guys from LSU have been underdeveloped. We've seen some really good receivers come out of LSU like Odell and Landry, so it's a place where guys can come out of and succeed at the NFL, and both of them were good in their rookie year. I think he probably ends up as an early to mid day 2 pick, which will probably cause him to start jumping real high in drafts.
Yeah.
What's so funny?
This is going to be the weirdest video ever.
Why?
Because I've been moving landing spot matters around the screen trying to get it to where I want it for the last 10 minutes or so.
We apologize to everyone watching on video for Hopper's shenanigans.
Okay, cool. And now it says landing spot matters in the top right corner opposite at Beerfield FF.
That's fine.
Still new to OBS. We're still learning this. Hopefully we'll be in full stride when business actually picks up.
All right.
Thank you for hyping Pettis for me, though, while I worked on that. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Anything else on Chark before I move on?
Nope.
All right. Player 11, Alan Lazard, wide receiver out of Iowa State, comes in at the same grade of a 7.1. He was the best 50-50 jump ball receiver I saw in this class.
As he should be.
Massive frame, elite body control. He has the ability to just body guys out, find the sideline, get feet down, make catches. He fights through contact. He has great hands. The only thing that's really holding me back is that he just doesn't have any sort of elite athleticism that would allow him to go and be.
He's not going to create a lot of separation.
Yeah, he has to win. He's going to have to win jump balls on every single catch.
Which means a lot of teams are going to have to use him. Like they're going to have to match him up against smaller or less physical corners.
You know who? Sorry.
I would say, or have a quarterback who's just willing to throw the ball.
Yeah, that too.
You know who his combine numbers match up with almost perfectly?
No.
Mike Evans.
He's built like Mike Evans,
yeah,
too.
He is.
I saw a lot of Mike Evans.
Yeah, there's a lot of Mike Evans there. But great ball tracking and body control, as you mentioned. Very good speed for his size, so he's a bigger guy. It's not elite speed in comparison to every other wide receiver, but for his frame, a 4.55 40 is pretty solid.
Yeah, it's a good speed score for him.
It beats the other guys who have similar frames to him in this draft.
Yeah.
At 38 vertical on top of the fact that he's already tall. I mean, that's an above average vertical anyway. So he's a great 50-50 ball guy. Going to be great in the red zone. Smooth route running. He gets his separation. But yeah, raw athleticism is probably the one knock, and he just doesn't seem to have a clear next gear to really break big plays. But he's a guy who may be out of this tier, probably my favorite just upside play.
Yeah.
For me.
Depending on where you get, let me rephrase this. It's not really landing spot. It's his draft capital. It's where teams want to draft him, and then how many players he has to beat out when it comes to that point. I mean, like he already has a clear role as a third down red zone type of guy, but he's gonna have to have a quarterback who's gonna be aggressive enough to throw into those tight windows, or teams gonna have to scheme him enough to use him, against smaller type of defenders. There's been some chatter about him maybe playing tight end, just so they can get that mismatch in the slot areas.
And he ran out of the slot in college and was successful, so it's something that he is capable of. He could be a big receiver / move tight end type player. He could pull that.
He could
role.
be this year's Bucky Hodges if a team, whoever drafts him, wants to try him out in that role.
Significantly more polished Bucky Hodges.
Well,
he is, but I think he stays as a wide receiver.
I do too.
I think he athletically profiles good enough to be a receiver and not a tight end.
Yeah, I mean, my only real concern with him is he going to have enough speed and agility to really make it in the NFL? Beyond that, what I saw on tape, he was a lot of fun to watch, and I'm not sure why he isn't getting more hype, because he's a guy who I've I've seen a few people who really like him, but a lot of people aren't talking about him much.
Nope. So he could be a great value.
Yep.
Yeah, he's in some of the mocks we're doing. He's slipping into the late third round.
Yep.
I'll take that all day.
Last guy we're going to talk about in this tier is going to be Jordan Lasley, wide receiver out of UCLA, just barely making the cut at a 7.0.
He tried.
Yeah.
Great. Crazy dominator rating, comes in over 40%. Good route running, great positioning, early breakout age. So all those are all things that you really want to see in a receiver to try to hit a home run on a guy who doesn't have as much draft capital. He has massive issue with concentration drops, as Dan pointed out.
12.5% drop rate and then a 15.8% on catchable targets. He's going to make a lot of amazing catches, and then he's going to fucking drop the easy ones. He could be like Ted Ginn. He doesn't have the breakaway speed, but he's also a better polished receiver in terms of his routes run. Like he looked great on tape, and he's going to do a lot of great things if he doesn't, piss off all of his teammates enough to get kicked off the team because he's done that enough.
I was going to say that's another thing.
He has
for him.
a lot of character issues. There's been reports of him not being well-liked in the locker room at UCLA, and that may hurt his draft capital. We saw that with a guy like Dorial Beckham-Green,
Dorial Green Beckham?
Yeah, whatever. A name I don't care
He's not
about
in the NFL anymore.
Yeah.
And he's also apparently bothered a lot of people at the combine too. So he's apparently got a bit of an abrasive personality.
That's going to hurt his draft capital.
Yep, that ain't a good thing to do. Athletically, comp to Cecil Shorts. Hopefully he doesn't.
Cecil Shorts?
Yeah.
From Jacksonville and Houston.
Yeah, whatever. He did have 7 games over 100 yards, and he only played 9 this year. So that's kind of insane production.
Yeah, his production in some of the games you watched, he would just take over games.
Yeah, he's a fluid route runner. He's good at making last-second adjustments. He's good at reach-arounds. Might make him a lot
He's
friendlier
great
in
at
the locker
positioning
room.
and doing them things that we like.
Well, reaching around defenders, I guess, is
Yes.
probably a better way to put that.
No reach arounds works.
Plays slot and outside on both sides. He's adept at finding soft spots in the zone. You just need him to pull his head out of his ass. And unfortunately, we've seen a lot of people fail because they don't pull their head out of their ass.
And you won't have the draft capital to want to sway a team like Joe Mixon was last year, where he had a high enough draft capital where a team
And Joe
are going to
Mixon,
invest into
and Mixon's
that.
kept his nose clean so far.
Exactly, and that too. And where Lasley doesn't have like the criminal background as a Callaway does in this draft class, you're not going to be on a team for much long if you piss off everybody in the locker room.
Exactly, which is worse than having off-field issues, but being liked in, at the facility.
Yeah, Talib
Like
still
Baker Mayfield.
Talib still has a fucking job, even though apparently he can't keep his nose clean off field. But apparently in the locker room they love him.
Yeah,
So Lasley's kind of the opposite. Hopefully he can get himself together though, because his tape was quite good.
it was.
Anything else before we put a bow on these top 3 tiers?
Nope. Top 3 tiers. Oh, wow. Sorry.
Wrap it up.
3 episodes, 3 tiers, not the same thing. Got it.
No, we're not done with receivers. We still got another 32 to go through in the next 2 episodes.
We can talk
So
about
this is the
Justin
episode where
Watson.
there's people you should draft.
Yeah.
And the next episode will have a handful, and then the last one,
It's going to be, don't draft these guys.
yeah.
We'll probably, the last episode will be, there's a few guys we might highlight that may be interesting, and that'll be about it. So if you want a real due diligence episode, that's going to be it. That'll be a week from today.
Yeah, that'll be rough.
We'll
too.
talk about that after we drink like a 13% beer.
Yeah, next Monday we need a real strong beer. So whoever's on, whichever one of you two is responsible for that, we need you.
I'm responsible for one of them, so I can make that happen.
All right.
Because you got the other one already, right?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Shall we get in our weekly rant?
Open mic night.
Beer Fueled Open Mic.
All right. Who's got the first rant?
Dan, go ahead.
Nope.
No.
I went first last time, I think.
Nick, go ahead.
Okay.
Dan's
I
not
went
that
first the
prepared.
time before. He went
did,
last
yeah.
time.
What did I want to rant about this week? I had something and I'm blanking. Topper, do you have something on the tip of your tongue or no?
We're not very good at weekly rants. Well, at least
No, we are. I've got something, though.
Okay.
Also, this is not football related. This is related to Canada.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and hockey. There was an incident over the weekend with the Humboldt Broncos where a team bus was hit and killed 14 young hockey players between the ages of 16 and 20. So there's a GoFundMe set up for that. We like charity here, so if you want to do something for them, that's a good thing to do. They'll be recognized around the NHL during the last weekend of the regular season, but just a real tragic thing. Guys playing sports, doing something they love, and regardless what sport you're into, sporting's a community, and that's not something you ever want to see. Is guys that are trying to make it on a junior hockey team, and to lose life that suddenly, that young, in just what was ultimately just an accident. So there was no wrongdoing by either driver from my knowledge, or at least nothing egregious like alcohol or anything like that, as far as we know. So just T's and P's out to them, and if you feel like it, there is a GoFundMe set up. So I'd recommend donating to that.
That works very much. Did you think of something, Dan, or do you want me to go?
You can go.
All right. My rant is going to be, I know both you guys are big DFS fans, but there has been way too many small DFS startups showing up in the industry lately. If you're at all involved in the fantasy community where you're producing content, I'm assuming you've probably run into the same thing we have, where you just have people constantly sending you stuff about how they want to get you involved in whatever their new startup DFS thing is. I don't know what the long-term plan is here. The market saturation has just gotten to be insane. And I just don't see what the plan is long-term for DFS because you have two major people
that are already established, and a bunch of people are suddenly trying to get into it now. And you can't establish yourself on the same business plan and expect it to get big because people are already there. Now, if you're doing like play-by-play betting or something like that, which some of that has happened, and there's no real big player in that yet, that's new, that's unique. But with DFS, most people are going to go to DraftKings and FanDuel unless you have something to differentiate yourself. You can't use the same business model and expect it to take off.
Yeah, and I've seen so many of those. I've seen some now that are trying to pull in some unique things like doing trivia, sports trivia as part of their platform or things like that. So at least some people are trying, but the overall market is just so saturated. I see so many clones just spin out. I'll hear from them, and then suddenly I never see them again. They just disappear. So it's just, if you're going to come up with a business model for DFS, guys, try to get something a little more unique than just try to be a FanDuel or DraftKings clone.
Yeah, or Play Draft is another one that's actually gotten pretty big.
And Play Draft is at least
it's
a little bit
different though, but because they're not salary based, they're rotisserie. They're mostly rotisserie draft based, and
yeah. So I mean,
and
in terms of the format,
best ball and stuff.
That's the one I'd actually prefer because it's actually a little bit more interesting in terms of you're actually doing an actual fantasy draft.
Yeah.
Right. You got nothing?
I've been working so much. I'm trying to get used to the weekly rants now being added in. So I apologize for
You
not
don't even
being
have to
prepared.
prep for him. You just have to have something
I
to
know.
say.
Just
I
something
know.
that you thought got passionate about during the week.
Well, the Masters are on, and I know that Tiger Woods is a piece of shit person, but his importance to golf. You don't think he's that piece of shit of a person?
I mean, cheating's never good, but in comparison to a lot of what goes on in the world,
he also did a great thing out there that's been tweeted out now. Someone tweeted at him. Her stepfather, I forgot her name. Her stepdad was dealing with stage 4 lung cancer, and he wanted to meet Tiger Woods. So Tiger took time out of his golf day. He's in the Masters doing his thing. Signed his glove. Took pictures, talked to the guy. So. But he's also one of the most important people in golf history, and him being at least a factor in golf again is huge for the sport as well. I mean, I played, I love it. I'm not any good at it.
No, me either. We need to go sometime. By the way,
we will as the weather decides, to
warm
play
up.
fair with us. We will.
But I will say this about Tiger also: there's a difference between being a piece of shit person and being a sex addict. Tiger was a sex addict.
That's true. You are right there.
Tiger was a sex addict, and unfortunately, it led to infidelity. But there are a lot worse things in the world than
he's doing a pretty good job working, or getting
clean.
his actual character cleaned up and.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
things like this is great for that, and I applaud him, and I'm really glad that he's actually, being competitive in golf again.
I am too.
Yeah, I don't expect anything close to what he used to do, but at least
No,
he's competitive.
not when
again.
you change your swing 3 times and you've gone through
multiple back surgeries,
back
surgeries,
surgeries, leg problems, and all
everything
that
else.
Shit, so.
and he's getting old for the tour.
Yeah.
He's what, late 40s now?
He's about to flip over to the senior tour and dominate there for a while.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
First time I've heard about the senior tour on ESPN is when Tiger plays there.
Yep.
All
Fred
right.
Couples did that for a long time.
Yeah,
that's just.
I was a kid.
Well, yeah, I think Davis Love was there for a bit too.
All right. So
Yeah.
Look at us dropping golfer
Look at
names.
us. We try. So I did have something. All right.
you did.
I try.
So thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Hopefully you got some good information here in Tier 1 of or the top 3 tiers of wide receivers, our Part 1 episode. Part 2 will be out next Monday. We'll cover probably about 15 to 18 players in that, depending on how they tier out.
God.
The first half of the episode is probably going to be some somewhat draftable guys. It's going to start getting ugly.
We'll just pair up
But-
Auden Tate and Marcel Aitman into
Is to one person.
player.
That's
Marcel Tate.
Marcel
Auden
Tate.
Aitman.
draft the young one.
He said, don't go. Don't do it.
Draft the one that actually has a chance.
Yeah.
So that'll be what we handle next episode. It's going to be more kind of fringe guys, and we'll cover a lot more of their tape once we get to the actual draft and we see how some of them get picked up by NFL teams. The last episode, Wednesday, it's going to be a real rough one. I think it's going to be the toughest one for us to get through. But we want to do our due diligence for you guys and talk about everybody we took the time to
We get to
watch
talk
tape
about
for.
Justin Watson, which is good. Though.
That'll be next episode.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll-
and then
at
we'll
least we're-
adjust next year again to hopefully find a happy medium.
Yeah, I think we went a little too deep this year, but
I
it was
think-
nice watching that much tape, too.
Well, I mean,
I think
it
we
helps.
overcorrected based on the couple guys that got drafted last year that we didn't watch that ultimately ended up amounting to not much anyway.
And watch, we'll somehow miss a few guys this year and then be super frustrated.
Well, a lot of it is that we can watch these amount of guys. Is do we really need to talk about like
Yeah.
Simi Cobbs Jr.
Well, Simi Cobbs, yes, because he's catching hype from other people,
Yeah,
and we
he'll
need
get-
to do
I
our
know.
job and stomp that out.
know.
we need
Thank
to
you.
we need to do our
He's
Smokey
an
the Bear
ant.
impression and put that out like a forest fire.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, guys. As always, we are at Beer Fueled FF. If you want to see us live or see us recorded on YouTube, I need to stop saying live. You can catch us on the webcam, Beer Fueled Fantasy Football. You can subscribe to us there if you want to catch every episode. Otherwise, we're on iTunes or any other place you can find your podcast episodes. And he's pointing to the. Are you pointing to versatility or the landing spot?
Hashtag landing spot matters.
Landing spot matters. There we go. Got it.
Yeah, there we go.
Landing spot matters. Everything is backwards.
We got some new merch coming out. We got a new colored shirt, dark gray. It's gonna be that shirt. Also got hats coming out.
And then
pumped for that.
And then leave reviews on iTunes. DM us that you did. Every 5 we get, we're going to do a shirt drawing.
or YouTube comments.
I want more than YouTube comments.
Well, subscribe and leave a comment then, if you're not already.
I mean, we obviously want you to like and subscribe. I want to do drawings specifically for iTunes, though, because that's where we really
Just
need to
show
drive
us
it.
that you're enjoying our content. And,
Yeah.
you want to
Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
converse with us.
I'll give you giant high fives for every YouTube comment.
through his screen. He'll literally high five your face.
Or if you want to come to Springfield, I will just high five you here.
That's an awkwardly long trip for that. But sure.
Okay. Hey, maybe they're in St. Louis or something. I don't
Maybe
know.
they'll be in Dallas.
Yeah, if you're in Dallas, we'll give out all the high fives.
Yep.
And we are going to be in Dallas for the fantasy football convention this summer.
In July.
July 12th, 13th, and 14th.
Yep.
Sure.
I think.
I think it's like the 14th,
I'm agreeing.
15th, and
It's
16th.
that
I'm
week.
agreeing with you.
It's
I'm
the
figuring.
second.
It's that
it's
weekend.
the second weekend in July.
I figured you knew.
All right. Well, thank you so much for checking us out, guys. We will be back with part 2 and 3 next week of wide receivers, and we'll catch you guys next time on Beer Fueled Fantasy Football.